Hello, my name's Jack Jennings. Welcome to another Q&A video. I just made my first one last night and straight away someone commented with another question which I thought was a really interesting question. Someone was asking about playing Raag Hamsadhwani and also how would you make chords from a scale that only has 5 notes, or the question was really how do you make chords from a scale where there's less than 7 notes. So the answer to this question, the simple answer, is similar to the simple answer to the last question in the previous video. Simple answer is that you can't make proper chords. You can't make a full range of different chords from a scale which has less than 7 notes, because the 7-note scales that we use in Western music and in Indian music, consequently, it's those 7 notes which actually make up the different triads that you need in order to make the full chords. So for example, if you have a triad that's using in terms of Indian music, this would be the Pa, Sa, Ga, and then if you want to make another triad after that, then you're going to have, this would be a Da, Re, and a Ma. So you've already got 6 notes there out of the scale, and then you want to do another triad, you end up using the Ni note in there, using the 7th. So very quickly, just by playing 2 or 3 chords, you end up using all 7 notes of the scale. But you can do some chords using just 5 or 6 notes. So let's actually take Raag Hamsadhwani and see if we can actually make some chords from just those scale notes. It's very interesting because Raag Hamsadhwani is so Sa, Re, Ga, Pa, Ni, Sa. So it's got very big jumps. This is almost just like a major 7 arpeggio. Major 7 arpeggio would be Sa, Ga, Pa, Ni, or 1, 3, 5, 7. So it's like a major 7 arpeggio, but just with the 2nd note included. So that in itself is really just giving you a chord. Now the way that I'm tuning the guitar at the moment, I'm using this new tuning system that I've been experimenting with to play in C. So I've got 2 high E strings for the low 2 strings. The low 2 strings have gone and there's just high E strings, but they're tuned to C. And I've tuned my D string down to a C as well. So this is giving me a C, and I'm just really enjoying this tuning at the moment. And then the top 3 strings are in standard tuning. So what I'm going to do is use mainly the top 3 strings to play some triads, or they're not necessarily going to be triads, but they're going to be little chord shapes, but trying to only use the notes of Hamsadhwani. So first of all, I can play that major chord, and then the next thing I would try and do is, include the 7th. So I could include the 7th there, which occurs on fret 4 of the G string, and I could even just play all the open strings. And then you can maybe just start to move that around, so we could play the Ni here, and then maybe a Re on here, and then we'd have a Pa on the top string. So this is a new kind of chord shape, and I'm always keeping the C as the root because I really want to maintain that tonal center. So it has some relevance, it has some relationship to our actual sound of a rag. Okay, and then another one I could play would be this one. So these are all essentially going to be inversions of the same chord. They're all just using the same 5 notes but just in different orders. So there's a nice one that has there's a Re, a Pa and a Ni. And I'd like to actually use this D string, even though it's tuned to a C. I can locate, I have a Ga here, so that gives a very nice sound. And then I could maybe put the Pa in the bass. I've always got Sa in the bass really, but I can put Pa there. that does actually become the lowest note technically, doesn't it? So that's kind of changing the sound of the chord a bit. And maybe if I take it back, I can make Re the root note, but maybe change the other notes. If I really stretch, I can. That's kind of worth the stretch. I like that. Sounds good. So that's a Re, Ni, Ga, Ni. That's a very spread chord. Maybe this, that would be much easier to play. So this, again, I've got the Re, Ni, Ga, but Pa on the top. That's a nice kind of sound. I could put a Ni here, and then have a Ga, Pa, and a Re on the top. And then maybe even put the Ga on the top. We're going to stretch. That's a nice one as well. Kind of like the Re on the top, really. Yeah. And then that's just a standard major 7 chord again. So these are interesting sounds. It's a really beautiful sound, and Raag Hamsadhwani has such a kind of pure sound to it. So it's really great to find a way just to use different chord shapes that are still using that kind of, they've still got the sentiment of the rag. One thing I really like about this concept actually is that because in Raag Hamsadhwani you can actually move in a straight sequence through the scale. You don't have to jump over any notes. Although there are certain phrases like ni pa ga re, ni pa sa. So you have a little bit of the ga re ni skipping over sa sometimes. But you don't have to do that. You can play ga re sa ni. So that means that if I'm changing through some of these different chords, then in a sense I'm not actually breaking any of the rag rules in the transitions between the notes. You're breaking the rules completely because you're not supposed to play 2 notes or 3 notes or 4 notes at the same time in Indian music. You're supposed to just have the drone with the sa and pa. I mean, in a sense, if you have a sa and a pa and then you play a ga, then you have actually got 3 notes at the same time. So that's sort of permitted. But if you end up with a 4th note, then that's no longer acceptable within traditional Indian classical music. But I think that if we are going to experiment, we can at least try to retain the movement of the scale. So we could try and do things like, let's see if I can work this out. I'll play it. Ni pa ga re, ni pa ga re. I can try and do something like ni pa, and then a ga re. So ni pa ga re, ga re, ni. Oh, sorry. Ni pa sa. So what I'm trying to do here is keep the ni pa ga re, ni pa sa. Keep that leading note, so that's the highest note, but accompany that with a different note from the scale. So ni pa ga re and a ga re ni pa sa. So I'm still using all notes from Raag Hamsadhwani, but using a typical phrase of Raag Hamsadhwani at the same time, just using a harmony part essentially. So this is quite a nice concept that I've been enjoying. And just playing Raag Hamsadhwani using this tuning, I end up playing a sa re ga. Remember, this string is tuned down to a C right now. So that gives me a sa re ga on 0, 2 and 4, and then an open G string gives me the pa, sa re ga pa, and then a ni is on the 4th fret of the G string, and then Sa on fret 5. You could also play on this open C string. It's a D string tuned to a C. So that's 0, 2, 4, 7, Sa, Pa, Ni, and then Ni would be on fret 11, Sa on fret 12. Well, that's quite a nice place to change string. And then you've got a nice kind of range of the scale there. Mi, Sa, Re, so that's 4, 5, 7 on the G string, 5, 8 on the B string, Ga, Pa, and then Mi, Sa, using the 7 and 8 on the top string. And I can slide into fret 10, Re, 12 gives me a Ga, and 15 gives me the Pa. Come straight down here as well. Oh, sorry, I keep forgetting that string is tuned differently. Yeah, so you have a nice kind of range of the scale there as well. So yeah, it's a very kind of pleasant sound. And using some chords in there as well, just to get that kind of different sort of sound. This is really a kind of fusion thing, because it's Indian classical music in its essence, but it's a fusion because we're using some sort of Western harmonic concepts as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to comment with more questions about anything to do with the guitar and Indian classical music, I also teach a lot about modal theory and different types of kind of fusion or even blues with the guitar. So just feel free to drop questions in there, because I'm enjoying doing these Q&A videos. So please like, comment and subscribe, and see you for the next one.